And now we have former Indian Ambassador Vivek Katju joining us on the broadcast live from India's capital, New Delhi. Mr. Vivek Katju, thank you so much for being with us. It is the first foreign visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi after taking charge, and it is sending out a very important message as far as what is going to be the core of India's foreign policy.
I think Mr. Modi has always paid attention to the neighborhood, and it is in keeping with his emphasis on the neighborhood that he embarked on this visit, his first visit abroad after he took oath for the second time, and it's appropriate that he has done so because the Maldives has gone through very difficult times, and there were difficult times in India Maldives relations, but happily all that is now behind us, and the Prime Minister's visit is an indication of the emphasis that India gives to its relationship with the Maldives. The visit has been extremely successful, right, and I'm confident that the Maldives leadership and people would be satisfied that India will do everything to shore up its defense. Right. And economic welfare.
Right. That is as far as the Maldives is concerned. Prime Minister Modi has just departed Colombo. We've gotten visuals of him boarding the aircraft, and that's a very important visit. The first foreign leader to visit Sri Lanka after the serial bombings that killed over 250 people. And relations between India and Sri Lanka has been not in what I would say in the most clearest of terms, because there was a change in regime over there, and there's a problem within the government before the serial bombings happened. How do you see PM Modi and India approaching the relationship with Sri Lanka?
No, I think the second part of this trip is Sri Lanka. As you rightly said, we've gone through a rough patch in the past, but again, happily, that is behind us. The present leadership of Sri Lanka understands the significance of India-Sri Lanka ties, and Mr. Modi's visit as the first foreign visit or the first visit of a foreign leader to Sri Lanka after the terrible attack, the terrible terrorist attacks, is an indication that India will do everything to ensure the security of Sri Lanka, for the simple reason that Sri Lanka's security and India's security are intrinsically interlinked. That is a clear message not only to Sri Lanka, but it is also a clear message to the region and to the world at large, that because our securities of the two countries are so closely intertwined, India cannot afford any weakening of its ties with Sri Lanka or any malinfluence on Sri Lanka's security. There are countries in the region who might want to intervene in India and Sri Lanka relations, but I think there is wisdom both in Colombo and in New Delhi to walk the path to ensure that this intervention or this attempt at creating a gap between India and Sri Lanka in security or in other aspects of the relationship does not arise.
Right. Ambassador, just stay with us, because in a major development, India has shared with Sri Lanka the phone numbers of 5 Sri Lankans suspected to be associated with the Islamic State. The development comes a week after an Indian National Investigation Agency team visited the country to probe the role of 2 ISIS modules in India that are suspected to have had connections in Sri Lanka. As per reports, the NIA has found 4 to 5 numbers in Sri Lanka which were allegedly in touch with the certain Islamic State suspects living on Indian soil. In fact, the NIA has found that some of the Indian suspects were in touch with the family of 2 brothers who were among the suicide bombers. But whether these numbers belong to those associated with the Easter Sunday bombings is yet to be ascertained. Remember, just days after the attack, the NIA, or the National Investigation Agency of India, had even arrested a youth from the southern state of Kerala for being in touch with members of an Islamic State module and getting inspired by videos of the main suspect behind the Easter Sunday bombings?
I think India has a large amount of intelligence collection systems and the technology and the experience and the access to various sources, which probably we may not have. In fact, this particular disaster, the information was given by Indian intelligence to our people. International terrorist movements and the issues are connected to this. So therefore, rather than trying to sort out issues and problems as individual countries, if we can do it as a joint exercise by people of these countries, the relevant officials and the people, the technologies and things like that, that will bring better results than in working in isolation. Especially India can help us because they have the wherewithal.
And we still have with us former Indian Ambassador Vivek Katju with us on this broadcast. Ambassador Katju, you see this development. We've been talking about this for a while now, about how India was crucially providing information to Sri Lanka. And in that sense, with Prime Minister Modi, paying his tributes to those who were killed in those dastardly terror attacks today, in that sense, there is this reaching out by India at an emotional level to Sri Lanka happening as well.
No, you are right. I think the Prime Minister's visit to the church, St. Anthony's Church, was symbolic of the fact that if Sri Lanka gets hurt, we get damaged too in India. And here, I think there has to be very close cooperation and coordination between our intelligence agencies and the Sri Lankan intelligence agencies, between our investigation agencies and the Sri Lankan investigative agencies. The difficulty arises when there is lack of trust, because there were reports that we had passed, that our agencies had passed information about dangers and threats that were immediately going to happen. Unfortunately, it appears that some people in Sri Lanka did not take that information with the seriousness that it deserved, and that perhaps may indicate a certain gap, not only in communication, but more than that, in trust. Apart from the capabilities of the Sri Lankan security agencies and authorities, I'm sure that if trust happens, as I'm confident that now, with Mr. Modi paying so much attention and this visit yielding good results, that trust will be augmented. And when that happens, then new paths, more avenues open up to ensure that neither the security of Sri Lanka is damaged by hostile powers and hostile groups, and nor is India's security damaged by the actions of these powers acting in our southern neighborhood.